Hello there, this is Patrick Tart here. I'm KINE kinesiology instructor here at Tarrant County Northwest Campus. And today we're going to be doing some basic demonstration for our self-defense class that I teach here every semester. The first thing I do want to say is that we always want to be practice our awareness. There's three aspects of awareness. We always should be aware of ourselves. We should be aware of others and our environment so that we can make safe choices and try to defend ourselves or avoid any type of confrontation if possible. There's various types of training. We're going to be doing some isolation and a little bit of application today. We have four aspects of training. One is observation, when you observe others teaching you a technique. One is isolation, when you're practicing that technique on your own without help. Application, when someone drills the technique with you. And then combat application, where you are practicing the technique in a sparring situation or if it's really in a self-defense encounter. So at this time, I want to start off with I want to acknowledge the two people that's here to help me today. Our cameraman, which you can't see, is David Hooper, David Hooper, and Reed Hall, who's been one of my good students in my kickboxing class. So just want to acknowledge those two and thank them for helping me today. All right, these are some of the basic things, class, for you to be able to refer to in Blackboard when you're away from class to help you with the start of class and to progress a little faster so you can do some of the training in isolation. The first technique that I want to start with is called the fence. The fence is kind of what it says. It's a fence to protect you. A fence is made to keep people out. So if you ever feel threatened or someone is getting in your space and you feel like it could be a situation that could harm you, you should get your fence up and ask them to leave you alone or to back off. Now remember, a fence is to keep people out. It's not an open fence to let people in. So the proper technique is, if I had my rifle here, I'm pointing and shooting at a target, I just turn my hands and I open and I raise my shoulders a little, so I'm protecting the vital organs in my face, the vital striking points. If I do the fence and someone decides to strike me, it limits what he can do. It almost tells him to punch around me so that I know where my strikes are coming, where I have to block, where I have to attack. So the fence, again, both palms are open. Also, with this posture, if someone is filming this, as they are right now, this says that I don't want to have any problems. I do not want to fight. This posture means that I do want to fight, in which your self-defense in a court situation has been thrown out the window. So we always want our palms up, hands relaxed, and ask that person to leave us alone or let us pass or whatever the situation may be. So again, the fence is a posture to de-escalate, but also to get you ready to prepare a defense against an attack. So Reed, if you don't mind stepping in here. All right, if I was walking down the sidewalk and Reed starts to approach me in a threatening manner, I would say, hey, stop. So I have given him the fence, I have protected my upper body, and it's going to limit his striking. So right now, if he decides to throw a straight left, I can parry it and enter. What this would mainly probably prompt him to do is swing around my hands. So if I'm here and he swings around my hands, I can enter, I can stop his momentum, I can mitigate his other hand, and now I can use one of the techniques that you'll learn in class. From here, I have knee strikes. From here, I have an elbow and a hammer. I have palm strikes right here. I have slaps, elbows, uppercuts, knee strikes. I have arm drags. There's multiple things that you can do. That is not the point. The point is to stop the attack and get yourself safe. So again, the fence is just a defensive posture where your feet are in a position where I can move in all directions. Again, if I fence and my feet are too close, Reed can push me over. I can't stop his blows or anything. If I'm too wide, I cannot move. So it's in more of a kind of a sprinter stance. And from here, I can block, counter, kick, move left, move right, move left, move backwards, move forward. So the fence gives me a defensive posture to get out of the situation. And that's it on the fence. Thank you, David. In some martial arts, they call, when someone is attacking you or punching at you, they preach to you to really practice your blocks, your high blocks, your down blocks, your middle blocks, cross blocks, whatever. In a street situation where someone's just attacking you, just violently, uncontrolled, not conventional, we use what we call covers because we want to cover the vital part. We want to cover our jaw lines if we can, the back of our head, our temples, and try not to get hit in an area that would knock you out or knock you down and where you were unaware of what's going on. So I have multiple covers, but in class I try to teach these covers we're going to go over right now, what we call cover 1, cover 2, the spear, the O'Neill, and the double palm heel. Those are really nice, I call them counter offenses to someone's strike instead of just saying it's self-defense. So now Reed's going to come back in and we're going to demonstrate those. Cover 1, when you want to work on it dry, when you don't have a partner to work with, cover 1 is from your fence stance, is what we call a supported elbow. You're doing 2 elbows at the same time. The lead hand is coming up and covering, and the other hand's coming across and covering. These elbows into your opponent are a pretty good deterrent. Again, I could be early, I could be late, or I could be right on time. So depending on where I am in the punch depends on the direction my feet will go into on the cover. So if I'm ahead of timing, if I see him draw his hand back, I can attack forward. If I'm in timing, he's already attacking, I'm going to just tighten up. If I'm behind timing, to avoid getting hit, I will step out at a 45-degree angle and then do the cover. So again, this can be called a supported elbow, or it's called a cover, whatever terminology, you've seen it in different martial arts, but we call it cover 1. So if I'm in my fence, and again, Reed attacks me with that wild punch here, this is my cover. I'm covering and attacking him at the same time. So this also mitigates, because most people will come with a right and a left. So if I did a conventional block and Reed's coming with the right and the left, with the right, and then the left may hit me before I react. So my cover stops that. I'm here, he comes with that thing, and I'm inside right here. My elbows could be on his jawline, could end up in his bicep, could end up in his chest, but there I'm also mitigating the power of his other punch. So even if he's coming with his left, he doesn't have anything. So that's cover 1. Okay, again, we're working on our covers. We were demonstrating cover 1. The difference between cover 1 and cover 2 is just arm placement. Right here from my fence, cover 1 means I am covering my head and my opposite arm angles across, and I catch the outside of my hand. And I'm forming 2 triangles, which a triangle is the strongest geometrical figure, so we want to use triangles. So the difference between cover 1 and cover 2 is arm placement. Sometimes the attack is so close up that you just get up to this position. It's still effective. Doesn't matter whether we go cover 2 to cover 1, or cover 2 to cover 2, or cover 2 to 1 to 1 to 2. Any of those work against multiple attackers. Also, your footwork. What's great about these covers is I don't have to switch my feet. If I'm here and the punch comes from the southpaw, again, cover 2 here or cover 1 here. I don't have to go from here to switch my feet. So that's a great thing about having a good stance and utilizing your coverage. So Reed's going to throw from here this time and demonstrate from a left, switch your feet read like he's a southpaw. He's coming with a looping left to my head. So I'm right here, cover two, and again, now I can attack my attacker. So I can use cover one, or I can use cover two, or I can go left then right. I can use cover one to cover two. Doesn't matter as long as I'm covering and I'm moving forward and attacking my attacker. Okay, the next cover we're going to go over is called the spear or the double hand blade. And so in the spear double hand blade, from our fence, we're basically making two 45-degree angles. So you notice that the hand posture looks like a spearhead here. So I think that one-on-one, the spear might be the most effective. Multiple opponents, I would probably use cover one or cover two if being attacked by more than one. But again, the spear is just from here. You are launching that spear, forearm into the jaw or neck, other forearm into his forearm to stop his attack. So Reed and I will demonstrate again. So again, from the fence posture, he comes with the looping right hand, spear. Notice the spear is catching Reed right here in the neckline and on the forearm. This stops his momentum. From here again, I can do multiple attacks, elbow him, I can palm strike him, knee strike him, control him, headbutt him, groin strike, whatever is necessary. But also, this is such a strong structure, when I hit here, now Reed walk through me. You can't, right? So that's why it's such a strong structure. Now, what I can't mess up is I can't hit him in the crease of his arm, because his arm bends, he can still hit me. So I want to catch the forearm and the neck or jawline right here. In practicing with your partners, you probably want to hit the shoulder here, because this really hurts. Okay, and again, it can be used from the other side, so switch your feet. He throws a left at me, same thing. And again, go into your attack, and that is the spear. Okay, our next cover is the O'Neill. It's named after Patrick O'Neill. He was a famous self-defense instructor, combat instructor back in the 1930s, I believe. It was way before my time. But the O'Neill is very, very effective. And it's basically shearing two elbows into and forearms into your opponent as he attacks you. You have to be very careful when you train this, because if you extend too hard and your forearms hit your training partner in the throat or the mouth, it's probably a trip to the doctor's office or the emergency room. So be very careful, train this slow. Just to give you an example, I've got a guy here that won't hit me back, so I can hit him as hard as I want. So if I'm in my fence and he takes the wild punch at my head, that is the O'Neill. I am shifting both forearms and up into his throat, or if I'm smaller, into his chest. He is a 6'5" guy, maybe even up into his face, but it's very effective. So again, when you train this, please be careful and don't hurt your training partner, because you don't want him to hurt you. He's going second today. Okay, so again, he throws the looping punch, and I come in with both elbows and forearms into his mouth, into his neck, or into his jawline here. Do not overcross your hands, because if he's big, his weight will kind of crunch you in. So this is your stopping point. And again, from here, you can turn your hands into a palm strike, a knee strike, a punch, an elbow, whatever necessary. And that's the O'Neill. Okay, the last cover and demo today is called the double palm strike or assisted palms. It is when your attacker, again, opens up with one of those real wild punches, with real wild blows. And the technique is a little more, it has to be a little bit more precise to make this effective. So on the double palm strike, I'm going to lower my hips, raise my shoulders, and shoot both palms into my opponent or attacker. At the same time, you'll notice this is covering some of the vital areas of the body. So again, this is one you cannot practice hard on your training partner, but you can on a dummy or a hang-up bag or whatever, if you have something to practice with. So again, from here, they throw a strike. And again, if I'm ahead of timing, As soon as I see that arm coming, I just go into the double palm strike. It can be into the chin, it can be into the solar plexus, it can be into the throat. It can also be applied after one of the other covers. I could do my spear and then turn my hips and double palm to the side of the face. So very effective strike. So at this time, Reed's going to come in. The same thing. If I'm here and he opens up with a big blow and I drop my hips, and I have to be careful with it. This is why I like this on the bag, because if I hit Reed really hard here, he's not going to want to train with me anymore. So you really need to be careful on that. This really works. A lot of girls use this. I've trained with girls who love this technique. As someone bigger than you, it works very effectively. So I'm bigger than Reed, so Reed's going to do the same thing. If I was to draw back and Reed comes in and palm strikes more to the face or head, he's going to stop my blow. And the harder you explode into this, then the worse it is for the opponent. You actually can really damage the spine and the back of the neck. And that is the assisted palm. All right, guys, again, this is the 8-strike combo that I make all the students learn. It takes you a couple of months, but once you do, you see the effectiveness of it and you start appreciating it. So the 8-strike combo, one thing that it teaches you besides different strikes is it teaches you not to stop with one punch. Because if someone attacks you or tries to push you down or tries to do something to you and you punch them once and it's not very effective, they're going to just come at you. So once you start, you need to do what we call stacking. You stack one strike onto the other, and one of the main combos we start with is called the 8-strike combo. So I'm going to demonstrate it again in isolation, and then Reed's going to hold the focus pads and we'll do it slow for you that way. All right, first of all, again, my 8-strike combo, and while I'm doing this, I'm going to also practice my covers, because if there's multiple opponents around me, I don't want to be punching or striking and have my head uncovered. So here's the combo. It is a jab, a cross, a hook, an overstrike, a slap, an upper, a hammer strike, and an elbow. And that is the 8-strike combo in isolation. Now, Reed, if you don't mind, come get the focus mitts on, and we'll do one slow with him giving me targets to hit. So if you have a partner, he can let you punch it a little bit harder, let you target focus a little bit better as opposed to just doing it with air. So again, this could start, though, it could start, once you learn the 8 strikes, it could start with a hammer strike, then the elbow, and then the punch, different punches. But this is a combo to drill from to learn the punches. So again, from here, it is going to be a cover and a jab, a cross, a hook, an overstrike, a slap, an upper strike, a hammer strike, and an elbow. Now, notice on the feet on the elbow, that my feet did not cross. If I'm going to do an ascending elbow into my partner, I want my force coming in for my hips. I don't want to cross, because if I miss, my opponent can now put me in an arm triangle. So again, this is a slide step up. One more time from my fits here. Jab, cross, hook, over, slap, upper, hammer, elbow. And that's your 8-strike combo. All right, I'm back here working on strikes again. I just wanted to mention to you, in boxing, kickboxing, and other martial arts, you learn basic strikes, a lot of basic strikes, such as the jab, the cross, the hook, the upper strike, the overstrike, and elbow strikes. There are other types of strikes, though, that are what we call unconventional. They're very effective, they're quick hitters, and most of the time it can get the person off of you, or at least give you an outlet to escape. The first one we're going to work on is called the hack. There are some, especially military, special forces type guys that say the hack is the most effective strike that you can deploy on someone. And I like it too. It's one of my favorite. It's also called the hand blade. So your hand is in a blade form and you're hacking with it. So a hack would be, again, from my stance here, I'm just going to basically cover and hack into my opponent. Hack, hack, hack. You can also work that into a drill, a speed drill, where you hack one side, the other side, the other side, 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 side. You can just hack, hack, hack. You're covered and you're attacking your opponent. You also can start with a hack and lead to another strike, such as a hack to a slap, to a hack to a slap, a hack to a slap. So very effective, the hack. It's also called in most other martial arts, it's called the Shuto strike, but we just call it a hack. Thank you. Okay, another strike that we do go over, we have to be very careful when we train it. It's something I wouldn't use on anyone unless I felt like it's the only way I could get them off me. It's called eye gouging. So you want to be careful when you eye gouge and just poking like this, because if he ducks and your fingers hit his forehead, can break your hand. So I prefer to eye gouge with the thumbs. So if my opponent maybe was choking me, I would come up ear snapping and eye gouging. So you want to put that thumb in and dig. So David, if you wouldn't mind coming around to here. So again, the opponent has grabbed me in some way that I can't get out. So I get my hands up and I eye gouge, or I might start with an ear slap to the eye gouge. But the eye gouge can be effective standing, be effective in a vertical grappling position. It can be effective on the ground. Someone's on top of you, grab the head and eye gouging. Again, I do not recommend this type of strike unless the situation is really out of control. All right. The Bolo strike is something I learned back in 1979 when I first started in martial arts, and it's a circular open palm strike to the groin, very effective off of a counter, off of a cover. It's also effective as pretty much as an initial strike. So the Bolo strike is your opponent gets in close, they invade your space, maybe your hands weren't up and ready, and you're caught in this position. So the Bolo strike is, I would bring my lead hand up to the chin, and I'm going to circle the backhand into the groin. That's the Bolo. We have a drill with the Bolo where we go up, circle, hit, and into the throat with an inverted knuckle. So it's a very nice technique. If someone is inside on you, maybe he's even this close, you can pop his chin up, put that circular strike in the groin, pop it back up into the throat, or whatever else becomes available to you. And that is the Bolo. And I want to demonstrate this with my training partner here, Reed. So if it can also be used as a defense against maybe a grab. Maybe Reed is going to grab me to pull me or even choke me or whatever. So he grabs me, and it's the same thing. This hand, my left hand goes up, my right hand circles to the groin, then back to his face, then to the throat. I could even be in this position right here. And Reed even hand traps me, so get on the top. Hand trap, boom, I'm right here, up. And again, that's the Bolo. It's a circular strike to the groin. You could use it if he throws a wild punch, and I block it from my spear, boom, into the Bolo strike. So again, I think it's a very effective technique for you to learn. Okay, the last unconventional strike we'll go over today is the headbutt. Headbutting can be very effective. Maybe someone has both your arms trapped and you can headbutt them to get them to let you go. It can be used from behind. Somebody grabs you in a bear hug, you can tuck and headbutt. But it is important where you hit. It is important how you deploy this technique. So Reed, come here again. So again, what I don't want to do is if Reed throws the wild punch and I block it and I decide to headbutt him, what I don't want to do is just headbutt straight without knowing what I'm doing, because just tuck your head down. Now it's head to head. That's not a very effective headbutt. So if I have blocked his arm here, if I'm going to headbutt, I'm going to headbutt his bicep here. Bam. I want to headbutt the bicep, really collapse it against the bone here. If someone grabs me with both hands, you're pinning both hands like this, Reed. If he's pinning both hands, I can headbutt his shoulder. I can headbutt the side of his head. I don't want to do a ram head because it might knock me out or split my skull also. If you want to headbutt the face, the best form to headbutt the face is grab the face and put your head all the way down and smash head into face. That is the most effective headbutt to the face without harming yourself. Okay, our next segment here is going to be on kicks. I don't recommend trying to throw in a real self-defense situation. Maybe it's cold out, you're in a parking lot, bad lighting, you're tired. I don't recommend throwing high kicks. Learning how to do high kicks, such as a high round kick, crescent kicks, spinning kicks, fun to do. They can be very effective in sparring, but in a self-defense street, real-world situation, it's not really recommended. So I am going to go over 5 kicks that I do recommend. And number 1, first and foremost, is the pike kick. So the pike kick is actually, drop the bag, Reed, and come on in here. You go ahead and drop the bag first. The pike kick is actually, especially with my shoes on or person's shoes on, is very effective because you're attacking the shin here. So from this position here, I can attack it with the lead foot. I can attack it with the back foot. I can attack it here and stomp down. This is a pike kick right here. Can you feel that, Reed? And I'm barely touching him and I don't have my shoes on. In fact, there have been people who've practiced this and forgot to put, when I practice it, we put shin guards on, forgot the shin guards and got their tibia broken. So you never want to practice this with hard shoes and no protection. The great thing about the pike kick, it's not highly skilled. Almost everyone can do this, or almost everyone can do this. All right, so to practice though and put a little bit into it, we use the bag. But I want to state something first. If I have boots on or hard shoes, I can actually kick with the toe. When I'm practicing here though, I want to kick with the ball of the foot to keep from breaking my toes. So I'll demonstrate a drill with Reed here. So Reed, hold the bag here in front of your shins. So again, I don't want to get this up into Reed's knee. I actually want the shin height here. And from here, you can reach and kick, but I'd rather be really close inside. And right here, just pop it, pop it, pop it, pop it, pop it, pop it. And so I'm just practicing kicking the guy's shins. So in a real life situation, say Reed grabs me and I kick him, he'll bend down. That gives me a chance to do the bolo, a strike, an elbow, whatever, because most people cannot take that kick right there into the shin. It could lead to other kicks too. The shin kick switch into a knee strike and then a low round. A lot of things can happen from here, but this is a very good kick right here into that shin. Okay, our next kick is our knee strikes. Knee strikes are, step in again with Reed. I want to thank this guy for helping me demo today. But a knee strike it depends on where your position is. If I'm in a position where I can't even jab him, there's no way I'm probably going to get a knee strike in. I have to be pretty much about elbow lengths away. If I'm elbow length away, I usually can get a knee strike in. Anything further, you're looking at a different kick, probably. All right, one knee strike is just a straight knee drive right here. And when you knee strike, you need to move your hips back and point your foot down. Point your foot down and your hips back on the knee strike, unless you are pulling it into the knee. That's called a straight knee strike right here. That would be to his bladder. This would be straight into his thigh. We also have what we call round knees. A round knee would be like this, or from the inside like this. And then you have a curved knee for, again, from a grappling position here, a curved knee into like the kidneys, or maybe to the thigh in that position. That's a curved knee. So you have knee strikes. You can also double knee. You can grab and switch kick your knees. You can be in here and throw that knee and then turn your opponent into another knee, and turn him into this knee, switch. You can just strike the person all over with knees. But you have to understand he's going to be trying to block those, get out of your grip, or defend it in any way he can. But knee strikes are very effective in that lower body. The UFC guys do jumping knees to the head, not recommended, but I would stick to the conventional knees. Okay, front kicks, guys. With the front kick, can be executed with the lead or the back leg. Depends on the distance that you are from your opponent. So if I may have you again over here, Reed. This is how I judge the distance. If I cannot jab my opponent, I'm going to use the back leg for my front kick, this thrusting motion. If I'm close enough to jab my opponent, I'm close enough to give him the front knee. Now, the front kick with the lead leg. The lead leg and the back leg are going to depend on distance, which you can use. Also, notice my hands. If I'm going to use that front kick with the lead leg, I want my hands up here. When I kick, I want them to stay up here in case Reed sweeps my leg and attacks. So if he sweeps the leg and attacks, if my hands are down, I'm going to get hit. So I want my hands here, so if he sweeps the leg, go ahead and sweep it, Reed. Boom. I can still attack. I can put my hands in his face. I can hand blade him. But if my hands are down and he sweeps or catches it, another thing that some fighters are so good, or some people are good enough, they'll catch your leg. So if he catches my leg and I have my hands down, he can attack my groin, he can sweep me, do whatever he wants. So if he catches my leg, again, I want my hands up so I can attack him and make him let my leg go. All right. As far as the form, I want to kick with the ball of the foot and extend my hips into my opponent. If I'm using my back leg, again, I don't want to do this. I want to, again, open the door with it, really stomp through it. So at this time, I'm going to hold the bag and I'm going to have Reed demonstrate both of these. He's a very good kicker. So Reed, I want you to demonstrate the lead front kick with your left foot. Notice he puts it right in his target. Very good. Now he's going to demonstrate the front kick with the back leg, because if he's close enough to jab it, he can use that front leg. But now he can't jab it, so he's now going to use his back leg right there and push it all the way through. Right there. Excellent, Reed. Good job. So that is just the basic form of the front kicks, either using the lead foot or the back foot. Okay, guys, the next kick is the round kick. Again, the round kick is something that can be very effective in sparring and or self-defense. You can use what we call the front round or the back round, but 90% of the time we're going to use our back foot. We're going to kick with the shin. We want to kick from here to here. We don't want to kick with our knee or our ankle here and injure ourselves. So I want to kick with the shin. And my target points are his thigh would be 1 point. If I really want to take him out, would be his knee. If his hands are high, it might be his ribs. And if I'm very, very good, it might be the head shot. However, I don't ever recommend that as self-defense, because if he catches my leg with my leg really high, I'm in trouble. So it's not recommended. You can use a lead round kick called the front round, but it's more like a jab. You can here with it to the inside of the thigh. You can again go to the ribs, or you can go to the face, but it's not very effective if the guy's pretty big. So I would stick to throwing that round kick to the legs, to the ribs, or to the knee joint. I'm going to have Reed demonstrate this kick. When you're holding the bag on someone doing the round kick, make sure that you hold it tight, that it doesn't flop around and hurt his leg. So I'm going to put it on the side here, which represents my thigh, and let Reed show you the round kick with the back leg. Good. All right, I'm going to pick my target up. So this is going to represent the ribs are on a short person, his face. So let Reed kick, round kick. Very good, very good. Okay, on the bag on that side. Now, again, a little bit higher. If I want to use this as an entering point, I can deflect or kind of interrupt his thought process by throwing a jab with my leg. So again, from here, I can throw this lead leg. And if I do, a lot of times I do this just to enter something else right here to come to the back here, or I go low and then high to get him to bend here and then high. That can be used, but it's not, again, my first choice of self-defense. The background that Reed demonstrated would be my first choice. Okay, the side kick is one that I would really recommend that you learn. It's not applicable all the time, but when you get turned where your shoulders are facing your opponent or you have two opponents, the side kick can be very effective. Again, the side kick comes from, its name is because it comes from the side, and to set it up, I like to slide my foot behind. If you're very, very flexible, you don't have to do anything but pick the leg up and throw the side kick into your opponent, which that wasn't a very good demo there. But I like to slide my leg behind to set up, pick my leg up, drive my side kick into my opponent. And you're kicking with the outside blade in the bottom of your foot. You don't want to get your foot turned upwards like this because then you can hurt your ankle. So you want to slide real quick, cock the leg, and explode into your opponent. There are people that, once they're real flexible, they can attack the leg, they can attack the midsection. I've even seen people that can attack the head with the side kick. So Reed, again, is a pretty good side kicker. I'm going to have him demo on Mr. Bob over here.
Medium, and higher?
Whatever you want, yeah, just different heights. Go a little bit higher if you can. See how you can go to the head? All right, now go to the bladder. Very effective right there in the bladder, into the rib cage. Okay, good job. One other thing on the side kick, you can set it up with the back knuckle strike. So a back knuckle strike is just what it says. You're hitting your opponent with your back knuckle here, and you can set this kick up by faking this into your side kick. Also, come here, Reed. You just stand right over here. In a multiple opponent situation, you can do a front kick, side kick combo. So I've got this guy here, this guy here. So I want to kick here and then side kick him. So I can actually use two of the kicks we just showed in a multiple attacking situation. I may have to cover, kick, turn, kick. I may have to cover, kick, grab, knee strike. So you can use different kicks in different situations. Okay, another phase of learning self-defense is how to fight on the ground. We actually our main objective is to always get up off the ground and get ourselves to safety. But if we find ourselves there, understanding different things that you might be able to do in those positions to get out of it. Because there are people who are very good wrestlers and very good fighters on the ground, and we don't want to be a casualty because we couldn't get up. So first of all, I just want to demonstrate some of the positions that you could be in. So Reed, would you get on your back here, please? I want to also tell you, whenever you're practicing ground, try never to get your legs flatten your legs out, because you can't move from there. So you always want to have your knees bent so that you can move. One position that you could find yourself in, this is called a side control. This is a type of side control, double arm over. You could have a side control where you have both arms or a head and arm. All of that can happen, any of those positions. You could end up in what we call north and south, where the guy's on top of you and his belly or pelvis is in your face and he's holding your legs from kicking, and then he's smothering your face, and then he tries to get an arm, or tries to wrist lock you, or tries to punch your ribs out. So you could be north and south. You also could be in a cross-body position where you have leg control. If the guy is controlling your legs, you want to start hitting his head. Because if you don't, the next thing that happens after leg control usually is what we call a mount. This is the mount position. This is a low double leg mount. It could be mid mount. It could be high mount, which is really bad for you. Some guys like to punch from what we call a floating mount. One leg up, one leg down. So these are mount positions. So most of the time, you're either in some type of side control or in the mount. If you are trying to get out of here and you're in the mount, I mean, you're in a position where you could punch the guy, use his face as a prop and get out. But if he's a ground fighter, he's going to try to grab your arms and roll you and be on top of you. You also could be in his what we call guard, where he has both legs wrapped around you. And from this position is where ground fighters can put you in a triangle. They can jab your eyes, they can put your head down, they can grab your ears, anything. But you sort of have the advantage being in his guard by being able to attack his legs. You can punch him right here. You can eventually break the guard and get out one way or another. You can shove his knee down and pass his guard. There's multiple things we can do, but I just wanted to let you be aware that there are different positions. Now, one of the drills that we work to just learn position is called the star drills. And I'm going to demonstrate that so I can move a little faster on this dummy here, so I won't read out so much. I got this drill from Eric Paulson, who was a great MMA fighter. He's one of the best trainers in the world. And this is one of his warm-up drills, is the star drill. So it's 5 positions. It's actually 3, but you have 2 on both sides and 1 at the top. So you practice double arm over. You start here in your side control. Now, if it's really a fight, you might want to have your legs at your chest in him. You can be here if you're in tight. Hide your feet, put a knee in his neck and an elbow in his neck. So this is a double arm over side control. From there, we go to Kazuri Kesa, which is another type of side control. But I want to bring this arm across his face. If it's in real life, you want to really hit him. But if you're training with someone, you're going to lift the arm, pick his arm up, and drive the back leg underneath. Now you have what we call both shoulders or both arms. You can slide in and get a head and arm. It's another position. And notice I'm not giving space here. I'm riding up on my toes, pushing in, controlling my opponent. He will want to get this arm out, and when he works it out, let him have it across, spin on the lead knee, and go to north and south position, control his hips. Again, you would sink this down, and you would go for some type of submission, or you're hitting him, whatever the case may be, to get up. You may just want to knee him in the face, and you may just want to knee him in the head or face and then prop up. Now to go to the other side, you want to pull this arm across, helicopter move, and you'll be in that head and arm position. So that's the 4th position. And the last is the double over side control from the opposite side. So from here, we want to swing our legs, drive the elbow, and back to this double over. And then we would go back, same thing. Here, bring it across. Here, scoop this across, helicopter. Here, switch my legs, and here. And that's the star drill 1. Okay, in grappling, there is striking, there's submissions, there's chokes, there's all kinds of things. And so what I'm gonna do today on this video is to just show you some basic submissions from side control. Some of these can also be executed from the mount, some from half guard. And so because we end up in side control, I'm just gonna show some basic ones. This way you can learn how to do them, and maybe you can recognize them if someone's trying to do it to you. So from the double over position here, most defenders are going to have a hand in your hip and they're going to have one on your neck. They're going to be trying to push you off. So the V arm lock is what it's kind of what it says here. I want to get up and slam his hand, and notice this V here. I want to get his head offline, slide my other hand under, and I have what we call a figure 4 lock. I want to slide my weight down, keep my head down, and he will tap, okay, when it's hurting his shoulder. You don't have to go very far, but you understand in a real situation, if you were to get this and just rip, you could really hurt his shoulder or his elbow. So the key is to not let his hand up, because then he has, and not to go out too far. If I slide it down and then pick up, he'll feel it. And that is the V arm lock. Now, from here, I'm just going to transition to a straight arm lock. Sometimes when you go for a guy's arm, he straightens his arm out. Straightens out. If I follow that, he can take his arm now and push me off. So if I'm trying to get the V lock and he straightened his arm out, I'm going to switch hands, and now I have a straight arm bar right here. So I'm just pulling down, bringing this up, and making him tap because you're straightening out the elbow joint. Okay, another one is called the fist choke. So I'm trying to get this, maybe Reed is supporting. I can't get his arm down, and he's too strong. So I pull it down low to trap it, run my fist across his neck, and I tap with your feet. No, you can do this with your foot. So I'm running this fist in here, or hand blade, grabbing my arm as a figure 4, and all I gotta do is breathe, and it taps him out. And I'm trapping his hands with my body because he was too strong. He's trying to prevent me from doing this, so I trap it and put my weight on it. And that's what lets me go to the, there is one I'm gonna put in here that we forgot about today, and that's kind of a swim move. Sometimes you're here and the guy shoots his hand straight up. If he does, go up under it and swim around, and now you are in a neck crank or a choke. The next one is called the Kimura, and a lot of people do this, a lot of people know how to defend it, but the Kimura is a lot of times this person will hide his hand because I can't get it, right? Well, in real life here, I want to be elbowing him, but I want to get that out and get my hand here. And this is the Kimura. If he's too strong to let me push it up, then I can walk around, tap when I hurt. Okay. And that's the Kimura. The spinning arm bar is one that looks great. Ronda Rousey made it really popular. I wouldn't do this in a street situation because I'm going to be putting myself on the ground, my back on the ground. But just to give you a look at the spinning arm bar from side control, he's really attacking me right here, and I can't seem to do anything. So I push his face here. He's going to push with that arm to try to get me off. Well, I'm going to spin right here and go into the arm bar. That's an arm bar. From the top or from a mount right here, a lot of people will, again, they're trying to buck you off, or they're trying to push you off. Or if I start choking, he's going to push me off, right? That's giving me, again, the arm bar to spin and go into it, and again, into the arm bar. I gave him a little too much space there because I went a little too slow, but that's an arm bar. Again, I wouldn't recommend the arm bar as a street defense, but it's fun to learn, and it's fun for you to recognize. If someone is going into the arm bar, you want to be able to defend against it. And that's some basic submissions. Okay, the last segment here on our video, it has to do with edge weapons. I think we all know that with all the violence in the United States, that learning how to use a gun, learning how to use anything in your environment as a weapon, learning how to use an edge weapon such as a knife, could be a pen, it could be a machete, it could be a stick, anything to help defend yourself when your life is threatened. Now, there is the system that I've studied is called KALI. It's called Pakiti Tersha KALI. It's a specific type of KALI that's based on quartering and movement. I'm just going to show you a couple of basic things today. And the great thing about Kali, if you just learn one or two things well, you can defend yourself against someone who has a weapon, or if you have multiple opponents, that's the only thing that will get you out of that situation. Because most of the time, someone's real brave until they see the weapon, and then it kind of changes the situation. Now, this trainer, this is called a ganitin, and it is a Filipino type weapon. It's similar to machete, it's a little lighter. It's a great weapon. It's legal to carry now. All edge weapons are legal now. But the great thing about it, to train how to use it, you can use a stick, and this is what we train with a lot, especially when we're sparring, so that no one gets hurt. But you can use a table leg, a piece of rebar, a piece of a broom handle, anything to simulate the same movements. And the great thing about learning the system is the same motion applies whether you have a stick, whether you have a short sword, or whether you have a knife. Other than just a few techniques, they're all the same. So what I want to show you is just how to hold the edge weapon, and then go through a couple of drills. When you have the edge weapon, it's really not the smartest thing to do this, because now I'm exposing my body. If my opponent has a weapon, I'm giving him the advantage. So what I want to do is actually present the weapon. I want to chamber my shoulder here, where it's at about a 90 degree here, and a 45 with my arm, and this is the position I want to be in. And if the person tries to attack me, my number one strike is one of the best defensive moves, and that's this strike right here. Notice that the wrist is cantered or cocked because I want the blade facing my opponent. So this is what we call the number one strike. The number two strike is right here. So the 1 and the 2 is the main strikes that we want to learn to use. There are a lot of other strikes that we can use, but that's the main thing. So Reed, if you don't mind. So if I'm right here and Reed's right there, if Reed tries to attack me, he's going to stop or he's going to get cut. My main target is actually his hand, because he can't really fight too good if he loses his fingers. So even though it looks like I go for his head, I'm really going for his hand. If I get his hand, he doesn't want to stop, then I can go for the head. But if I can stop the hand, you don't have to kill anybody. You can stop it right there. So if you go for his head, he will probably stick his arm up there and you will catch the hand. The first thing I worked on when I learned this was there's a lot of footwork that I'm not going to spend time today showing you. I'll show you in class, but the position of this weapon. When I'm on my right side, my wrist is always bent back at a 45 because that presents the blade. On my left side, I'm just a hammer fist. It's a straight hammer fist because, again, the blade is lined up with these fingers, and again, it's at a 45 coming this way. That's the 1 and 2. You also learn how to do the 3 strike, the 4 strike. I teach you thrust. There's the 5 thrust, the 8 thrust, the 9 thrust. There are what we call watiques and fluentes, and these type of motions too are effective. But the main thing we want to learn is the 1 strike and the 2 strike. And that's very difficult to come into, as you can see. So when we first start out learning this is kind of a mid-range, or I call it a long weapon because it's longer than a knife, but it's not as long as a real sword. We do it with these sticks. And so we learn that positioning with these sticks, that 1 strike and 2 strike. So excuse me here, I forgot to get Reed the stick. Reed is being put on the spot here. He's never done this before, but also when you're learning this, you want to grip the weapon 1 fist length above the end. You never want it down here because you don't have control of the weapon. And the higher you get up, the less manipulation you have of the weapon. So it's one fist. You put in the pads of your fingers and roll your hand, and you have a good grip. So when we're practicing it with a partner, we can do this without ever touching the sticks. So what you want to do is keep it high, Reed. Keep it high right here. Just don't even touch the stick. Just go right here. Don't try to touch the stick. Cover your face. What you're really doing is this. This is learning the angles. And notice my body. When I go with the right hand strike, the number 1, I go all the way until my shoulder is at a 90. Then I pull the weapon high, and then I go back until my shoulder's at a 45. And then I rechamber, and this is the motion. Now, once you get familiar with it, we will start touching sticks. Keep your weapon high. Keep it high across your face, okay? So now we're going to touch stick cover. And then we learn to move around. We'll learn to move around with our steps, and we can lightly spar with it. But the main thing you want to do is, I first learned this, get up against a wall, and I put an X that's across the bridge of my nose, and I follow the stick with that line. Follow the stick so that I can manipulate that stick and attack my opponent the way I want. So that is the 1 and 2 strike with the stick. It also can be done with, again, it's the same thing with a guillotine or machete. Same motion. Again, we do have a 3 strike, a 4 strike. We have a thrust. We have other things, but this is your main motion, just learning this over and over and over. And then you can learn to fake with break strikes and then fluids and then breaks and fluids. You can circle to a break to a fluid. Many things to learn. Learn the 1 and 2. It also works with the short weapon, kitchen knife. A knife like I carry a knife a lot of times on my side if I'm going to be out in the public, and because I want a weapon, because I don't carry a gun all the time. So I learned to take this out, and I can deploy it pretty quickly. So the same thing though, it's the 1 strike and the 2 strike, the 1 strike and the 2 strike. And so most attackers, if you're here, if he tried to attack me, he's going to go through that knife. I'm going to cut him, and I don't want to. Don't want to hurt anybody. But if he's threatening your life, or there's multiple opponents, this is a good equalizer right here. Again, you could be in your own home and 3 people break into your house. They're trying to steal something, and the only thing maybe you have is a kitchen knife. Same motion works. If you had a pen in your hand or the short blunt object, you can use the same motion, the 1 and the 2. So 1 and the 2 is very good, and it works with what we call the forward grip. The 1 and the 2, it works with the reverse grip, the 1 and the 2. So those are the main strikes. In class, I will teach you a little bit of knife defense, of defending if someone is coming at you here or coming at you with a thrust. But the real truth is, the best defense against a knife is another weapon, and knowing how to use that other weapon to equalize or mitigate his attacks. And I think that concludes the videos today. I hope that this will be something that you can go back and look at when you're in my class. And you can always ask me about any of the techniques we've done today. And there's many more to learn on top of this. I want to thank, again, Reed for helping me, and I want to thank David for doing the filming.